23 started off, as usual, rather slow, as our weather here in the Pacific Northwest isn't very conducive to flying. And this is where I concentrate on my hangar videos. These in the hangar videos are generally mechanical or technical in nature. Looking back at the first of the year was an explanation of the blue knob, an in-depth example of how a constant speed propeller works. We are here in the 182 hangar. Daisy has seen better days, as it were. She's actually waiting for some cylinders. This idea of how a constant speed prop works was inspired by a friend of mine over at Just Plain Silly. Brian has a very, very funny take on how constant speed props work, and you should go check it out. It's over here. But we're going to go through, and since we already have an example of an airplane that's really tore apart, we're going to show you all the bits and pieces from the blue knob to the propeller blades. So this knob is connected to what's called a prop governor, and all it is just a fancy little device that meters the amount of oil pressure that's going to the hub of the propeller, which controls that twisting of the blades. We can see that here. So what causes the engine speed to increase or decrease is the resistance of the propeller going through the air. The greater the angle, the lower the speed. Next, I invited my friend Scott from the Great Michigan Bush Company to talk about flaps and to explain how those work on the 108s. This was actually inspired by a friend of mine, Scott, from the Great Michigan Bush Company. He had an incident a ways back, and I'm not quite sure. I know what happened on climb out. His flap handle somehow retracted.
So have you ever tested and actually flown and seen what each flap setting does for the actual speed of the aircraft, or have you gone out and tested that?
I mean, I have it in one of my videos, and I would have to pull the data. It's on my computer somewhere. But I did. I took a look at stall speeds clean. I took a look at stall speeds clean, stall speeds flap 1, and stall speed flap 2.
Every February, vendors, speakers, and associations come together in Puyallup, Washington for the Northwest Aviation Expo. This 2-day weekend event is chock full of lectures and exhibits. And if you're an IA mechanic, you can renew by attending a seminar offered there. In April, the stamp cleanup began for the Fly Washington Passport program. During COVID, some of the airports locked up their stamps, and now pilot lounges are open, and it was time to revisit these places and put more ink in that book, like Apex.
I put the date from originally when I came here, and we are getting El Stampo. Right side up. There we go. Now it's official. The second time I've been to Apex, because there's the hangar, and then right there is the mailbox.
If you remember the first time I was there, the first attempt at landing was a go-around, following a really hard landing.
Apex area traffic, Senton 50 kilo, returning final 35, Apex. Oh, that was hard.
In May, I added Linden, Washington to the list of first-time airports. Challenging to locate for the first time from the air,
But later my friend Tom Martin from Ginger the Plane explained that I should reference the Milk Tower for a downwind to runway 26. It's the tallest thing around and is very helpful in locating the airport among all the houses.
Linden traffic, Centon 50 Kilo on a 45, left downwind 26, full stop landing Linden. Alright, there's pattern altitude. Linden traffic, Centon 50 Kilo, we're turning final with 26, full stop landing at Linden. Steady pattern. Press that descent.
Tom has some really good fly-through videos of the North Sound and the San Juans. And he's done a ton on his plane recently, so check out his channel. Link is in the description. Among more notable trips in June was to Camas, Washington. This day trip was Sheila's former home. And my very first flight in Sheila was from there back to Payne Field under a maintenance ferry flight with the help of a couple of friends.
59er, is that turning crosswind 25 Grove? Grove traffic, Centon 50 Kilo, returning final for 25 Grove.
Green box. Here's our Grove, otherwise known as Camas. Continuing in June, the flying really picked up, starting with a trip to Ranger Creek to volunteer with the seasonal cleanup of this alpine set airport. Don't do donuts on an airport. Then Kim and I attended the annual Stinson Gathering in Columbia, California. Getting to Columbia this year involved dodging a couple of spots of weather, and we had a great time there, even though I made a couple of wrong turns in town. So, we have landed at Scappoose, and the next stop is Medford.
We had to wait here at Medford for a little bit, waiting for some weather. So we followed the crew car, went out, got something to eat, came back and waited for a little while. That weather is starting to move out of the way, and so now we're on our way down to not Sun River. We're going to Columbia. Columbia traffic, Centon 50 Kilo, turning final 29, full stop, Columbia. Columbia traffic, 80458 on an 8-mile right 45 for 17 descending through 4,400, close cover. That was one of my better landings.
Yeah, for a field land.
Columbia.
Too bad nobody's there to see it.
This year was not immune from some mechanical issues, mainly oil leaks this time. These were fixed up before the upcoming cross-country trips. And who knew that the top cover, of all things, could create such a mess? But this gave me an opportunity to showcase one of my favorite jaunts in our backyard around Mountain Loop Highway.
Yeah, not what you really expect after a trip back from California, but we had a little bit of an issue coming back as far as oil consumption and in the form of a leak. I know I've previously done a video of trying to fix leaks, and I found one, I fixed one, but couldn't find the other one, and it was a doozy. So in the 14 hours of flying, we went through about 4 quarts of oil. A little bit much. So we're just about wrapped up here, and we're going to show you what else we found, and then maybe take her around for the patch.
Ready to take in 25, departing to the west, concrete.
So majestic in here. It's just so amazing to be around in this little valley here with oak-covered peaks, with the Skagit River, and we're flying over the Suck right now. I've been down in some of these areas and fishing, and man, it's just so peaceful and tranquil up here. What a great day to fly.
What would normally take a half a day by car, where I live, is just an hour and a half by air. Concrete, Washington still holds its old-time fly-in, despite the museum being gone. But man, what a showing this year.
So we got in around a little before noon, just before the winds picked up, and when they did, man, it was a little entertaining watching some of the landings, but everybody made it in safely. We had a good night's sleep. I'm up early, and
That's how you land a cut.
got to get some coffee in this one. Kim's taking a little bit longer to get up, so but we're gonna head off. They have a pancake breakfast from 7 to 10. We're just gonna come back and watch people arrive in concrete and just enjoy airplanes. So sit back, relax, and enjoy what you can expect to see at the concrete fly-in.
It was packed. The Saturday day trippers had to park on the taxiway. I'm looking forward to that one this next year. You might remember from last year I made a goal to visit and showcase aviation museums in the Pacific Northwest. I did just that. The first up was the Aero Museum at Port Townsend Airport.
So we have arrived here in Port Townsend at the Aero Museum, just down the ways from the Goose. And it's pretty quiet in here because all the activity is going on outside. They're having a Young Eagles event, and where they take kids on their very first flights free of charge. So this is all due in part to the generous donation of pilots with their aircraft and their time. We're going to take a look around here at some of the exhibit items we have to see here at the Aero Museum. And then later on we're going to talk to Mike Payne, who is the director and I guess jack of all trades here at the Aero Museum. Well, I just want to first thank Mike Payne for the all access to the Aero Museum here at Port Townsend. So thanks again, Mike. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming out.
Absolutely.
The kids took a look at your YouTube page today, and we're pretty excited at the lunch table to see some of your content.
And I'm really excited about your youth program. If you can kind of maybe talk about the museum a little bit and how it works with the youth program around here.
This unique museum gives young adults the opportunity to not only work on antique aircraft, but also trade those hours towards earning their private pilot certificate. How amazing is that? I was also able to visit the B-17 Alliance Foundation Restoration Shop. This is the lowest time B-17 in the world.
Well, we have arrived here in Salem, Oregon. We're in front of the B-17 Alliance. This is the home of the restoration for the gas station bomber that was just down the road over here south of Portland in Milwaukee, Oregon. And we're going to go inside. We're going to talk to Terry
And we're going to get a full story of how this airplane went from being a World War II surplus airplane to being flown out here to Oregon, how this airplane served most of its life on top of a gas station, and the stories that they're going to tell. So let's go on inside.
I can show you what we have.
Yeah.
Oh, hi.
Hi! Well, Terry, thanks again for letting me come down here and get all this access to this amazing airplane and a fantastic story about how this airplane, it is, from my understanding, it's the lowest time,
Lowest airtime of any B-17 in the world.
any of the world.
Of the
ever
world.
flown. And you know the reason why is because that airplane never saw any action, right?
Correct. It was a surplus aircraft from Otis, Oklahoma.
Yes. Okay. And as a never-seen action surplus airplane, it was purchased and flown to Troutdale, where it was trucked to Milwaukee, Oregon to sit on top of a gas station as an attraction for decades, before weather took its toll. It was decided to restore this icon to flying status, and that's where the foundation is started. This year we hit a milestone, 1,000 subscribers. Now that's a small portion of the people who actually watch this channel. However, I thank each and every one of you. And for those who comment, I answer each comment that comes in. And I'll continue to do so as long as that's practical. So I'm looking forward to the next milestone, 10,000. The season draws close when Hood River hosts its annual fly-in. This year was exceptionally successful, and had I known, we would have showed up a little bit earlier. We were parked off in the boonies, and were just lucky enough to get a spot. Even though I didn't capture it, there were several YouTubers present, and I had a nice chat with James Good. Such a nice guy. I look forward to seeing him again sometime. The end of the year slowed down with the flying front, but Kim came along with several friends to Port Angeles for the annual Crab Fest. This was an easy afternoon trip and a lot of fun.
William R. Fairchild International Airport, Port Angeles, Washington. Automated weather observation 1850 Zulu. Wind variable at 04. Visibility 10. Sky condition clear. Temperature 18 Celsius. Dew point 11 Celsius. Altimeter 2994. Remarks. Density altitude 800.
Port Angeles traffic, Stinson, 92000 kilos, 8 miles to the east, inbound full stop landing at Port Angeles. Port Angeles traffic, 650 kilo, 1500 for final for 16 full stop at Port Angeles.
Now, the best way I could describe the Crab Fest at Port Angeles is if you've ever been to the Fisherman's Fall Fest in Seattle, it's a lot like that, but on a bigger scale. More food vendors. The Coast Guard does demonstration with their diver swimmers. Pretty interesting.
So, where did predictions fall short this year? There were fewer dedicated camping trips this year, and I'd like to get back to Lake Sullivan and visit Kavanaugh Bay. These are on the far reaches of northeast Washington and Idaho borders. Along the way, making stops for stamps, obviously. I was trying to reserve the trip to Point Roberts to go with my friend and YouTuber Tom, but delays to his upgrade on his plane delayed that, and the opportunity just didn't come this year. So, Mr. Martinstein, let's go this year. We still haven't seen all the museums and restoration centers in the Northwest has to offer, so stay tuned. It's going to be a good year for that. All the usual flying destinations will be had, and work on Daisy continues, and there will be progress videos for her resurrection. I've had several talks on the subject of recurring ADs that have come up with some of my customers. So we'll go through the most common ADs that are based on hours, not just during an annual. We'll cover the big inspections on Cessna, Piper, and as the owner-operator, your responsibilities to ensure those inspections are documented. Inspired by the call-ins to my favorite podcast, Aviation News Talk, hosted by Max Triscott, listeners call in and talk about their favorite destinations. On the top of my list of places to go is Kapala State, the only charted airport in Washington that's runway is a beach. Located north of Ocean Shores, Washington, along the Pacific Ocean, this unique landing strip is only available when the tides are low. The coastal environment can be tricky. Weather reports are spotty, so when the sky's clear, it's most likely windy. And if the wind is calm, it's overcast. The nearest ASOS is Hoquiam, Washington. So use of weather cams in the area is a big help in flight planning. But the reward is huge. Who can say they've actually landed on a beach in their logbook? So go to wsdot.gov aviation for more information about Kapala State. Although the plans for Oshkosh were scrapped due to other commitments this last year, we still have plans to go in 2024. It's 90% completed and operating, my custom METAR map. It's up and running, and I love this thing. I just need to build the frame and hang it on the wall. I've really enjoyed the deep dive into programmable LEDs with a Wi-Fi development board, and that video is in work right now. So thank you so much for watching, and enjoy what's coming in the following year. Now, I'm not some rich and famous YouTuber asking you to like and subscribe to this channel. I'm an aviator asking you to like and subscribe to this channel, because that's the way YouTube works. If you don't click those buttons, YouTube doesn't know that you want to see more aviation content and won't show you more. But if you don't like what you've seen, please leave me a nasty comment down below, because that's the way the internet works. May all your flying be good flying.
custom METAR map. It's up and running, and I love this thing. You just need to build the frame. I just need to build the frame. You build my frame. You build it. Now I'm getting... Killing my batteries. Come on, man. Thank you. All right. I was trying to reserve the trip to Port Roberts. I was trying to reserve the trip to Point. I was trying to reserve the trip to Point Roberts. So, where did the predictions fall short this year? There were fewer dedicated camping trips. But I'd like to get back to Sullivan. Lake Sullivan? Come on, man. Read. So where did predictions short... The season draws close when Hood River hosts its annual fly-in. And this year was exceptionally... This year was exceptional. This year was exceptionally The season draws close when Hood River hosts its annual fly-in. This year was Why can I not? Exceptionally successful. And then next, I invited my friend Scott from the Great Michigan Bush Company. 23 started off as usual. I'm always tired when I'm doing these. In April, the stamp cleanup began for the Fly Washington Passport program. I said that really weird. Blah, blah, blah. Now pilot lounges are open. I always decide to do this on a f***ing nice day. Among no more 2023 started off as usual rather slow, as our weather here in the Pacific Northwest isn't very conducive for flying. Conducive. Among the notable trips in June, am I 15? Tom has some really good fly-through videos of the North Sound and the San Juans, and he's done a ton on his plane recently, so check out his channel. There's a link.